What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and it is Sunday Fun Day, and traditionally that means we will be talking about the cards that have gained the most in value on TCGPlayer over the last 7 days. Now, last week, as you remember, they did not provide us with the data at all, which was interesting to me because they've given us this data set every single week, really for as long as I can remember. And this week's headline, as you can see on the page in front of you, is fundamentally different than what we have seen over the last, I don't know, all of 2025. And the new title for the video is The Biggest Price Drops in Pokemon This Week. So TCGPlayer has joined the ranks of everybody who's out there talking about these prices, which are starting to come down a little bit. And they've flipped the script. And instead of the prices that have gone up the most, they're now talking about the prices that have dropped the most in the last week. Now, the interesting thing is if you look down there in those tiny words, the first sentence is Pokemon heading for a bear market? Now, on the very next slide, I am going to show you price trends for the top 20 singles cards in the Sword and Shield era ever since September of 2023. And what I want you to take away from that, first off, I want you to feel really good because what we're seeing right now is not undifferent than what we have seen in the past. And number two, what I want you to feel too is this is going to be a buyer's market, right? If you are like me and I believe in the long-term prospects of Pokemon cards, I think 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, the Pokemon market and hobby is still going to be very strong. I think there's still going to be huge interest in it. Then you can utilize times like these to make some awesome purchases that aren't always available at the prices that we're going to be seeing. And if you read the rest of what's written on down there, that's pretty much what TCGPlayer is saying too. They're saying, hey, listen, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't have any idea of what's going to happen, but we do know 2026 is going to be an anniversary year, and we know that when anniversary sets come, there's a ton of interest. A lot of people pile back into the market. So even if we see a period of a little bit of softening, we really believe 2026 is still going to be a strong year. So the graph I was telling you about, and the thing that you've seen if you watch this channel consistently, is this one right here. So this is the top 20 singles cards, the aggregate value of the top 20 singles cards for all 12 sets in the Sword and Shield era that have a booster box, right? So 12 sets from the Sword and Shield era that have booster box, top 20 sets for each, 240 cards. This is the aggregate value of them. And as you can see, I started charting them back in September of 2023. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but what I want you to look at the green arrow up followed by the red arrow down. This pattern of periods of price appreciation, followed by prices declining, followed by support levels, and then price increase, and then price decline, and then support, like we have seen this before. So if everybody's going to be panicking out there, you and me and all of the other Pokemon collecting maniacs out there, we can just sit back and chill. Now, the one thing I do want to call out is if you look at those red lines, the last couple times we went through a period of price softening, it lasted for a period of 4 to 5 months. So just because prices are starting to soften right now, I would not start running out there and buying all of these singles that are down 5 to 10%, because I have a feeling they might have a little bit of a ways to drop. It could take 3 or 4 months till we start to find some support lines. And again, if you watch this channel, if you follow us, you know I will be sharing this information with you around the 15th of every single month, so you can have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. So if you're interested in that and you haven't done it yet, as you can tell, we do a ton of work behind the scenes. We always get the best data that we can and provide it to you. So if you like that type of thing, hit the subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those two small things go a really long way in helping my small channel out. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, but now that all of that is out of the way, hopefully all of us are feeling a little bit better. Let's start talking about the cards that TCGPlayer has called out as dropping the most in price over the last 7 days. Now, the first two cards are from Mega Evolution, and I don't really think that's fair because remember back in the Sword and Shield era, before the market was totally wild with things selling out immediately and not being able to find anything at MSRP, cards used to go through the Pokemon pop and flop, which was where cards would come out and pre-orders would be through the roof for these singles cards. But then as products were opened and more product was injected into the secondary market, singles cards would start to come down, and it was just a normal order of operations. But now in the space that we've been in, it's just been totally wild because you could not find things at MSRP, which kept a lot of these single card prices really high straight out of the gate. So the fact that they call out the Mega Gardevoir right here, the gold one from Mega Evolution, and the fact that it's down to, I mean, it's crazy. It's down 19% over the last month. And if you look over the last couple weeks, sure, it's seen a relatively steady price decline, but it's still at $470, which is absolutely insane. Now, the other thing that I'll call out too is remember, those bright blue lines, those represent the price and how it's moved over time. Those light blue bars that go up and down, those represent buying and selling volume at TCGPlayer. And what's interesting to me is you can see as the price was declining, you start to see more and higher of those light blue bar graphs, which means the market is buying this product up as it continues to decline in price, showing a lot of support in the 470 range. Doesn't mean it's going to hold that line. It could absolutely continue to drop, but it is encouraging to me when I start to see selling and buying volume as the price is declining, because that means the market is just starting to gobble it up on the way down. Next card on the list right here, Lillie's Determination. Listen, it's a trainer card. It's in a brand new set. Not surprised at all to see this down. It is down over 24% over the last month, with most of those drops coming relatively early. But again, look at what has happened. The price has flatlined. It's starting to really flatten out at that $123 mark, and you're starting to see those light blue bar graphs that go up and down. They're starting to increase in height and velocity, and that's because as the price is declining, people are snapping it up. Now, that doesn't mean it's reached a support line. It doesn't mean that it's destined to start, reversing course and gaining ground. Like, it is far too new. We have a ton of this product left to be open. Booster boxes are dropping continuously. So listen, I wouldn't rush out and buy any of this. I just think that this is a normal expectation for cards like this in a brand new set. And I'm actually happy to see that these two cards are starting to come down just a little bit. Next one on the list. Okay, so this is the Gardevoir, right? And this is from Paldean Fates. And this one just kind of fell off a cliff. As you can see, it was supported at the $144 mark for a very long time, a period of, I don't know, about a month and a half. It was just kind of chilling right there. Not a lot of buying volume. You can see very few light blue bars going up and down there. But then all of a sudden it just dropped 10%. Okay, and you can see that when it was dropping, there were people who were buying it. But even though people were buying it, price continued to drop. And now it's starting to flatten out just a little bit. But Paldean Fates is an epic set. Like, it has a ton of depth to it, a lot of really awesome cards. But when you think about it, the Charizard and the Bubble Mew, those are going to be the big headliners. Nothing wrong with Gardevoir, really cool Pokemon. I think the artwork on this card is really great as well. But when I think about how aggressive some of these Scarlet and Violet cards and sets have come out of the gate, it's just absolutely mind-bending. And I don't know, I mean, I love this artwork and I love Gardevoir, but $130 for this card is just a ton of money. So again, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't have a crystal ball. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. But I'm not upset to see cards like this come down a little bit in price. Next one we're talking about right here is a card I've been a huge fan of. Do you remember when, Paldea Evolved has been I've just been such a big fan for so long, I can't even talk straight, to be honest with you. But this is absolutely one of my favorite cards in the entire Scarlet and Violet era. I'm encouraged to see it come down 21%, down to $307. I still think that's a lot of money, and I hope this actually drops down even further. I already have 3 of them in the collection, so I'm not, out there hunting it. But what you will see, okay, so tomorrow we're going to talk about the actual grading volume at PSA, and then I'm doing a follow-up video. It's going to come out on Wednesday, I believe, and we're going to be looking at PSA grading volume for the top 8 singles cards in the Sword and Shield era and the Scarlet and Violet era. And that's because, spoiler alert, the grading volume at PSA last month was absolutely insane. Like, it was incredible. There was over 1.2 million TCG cards graded at PSA. But through that exercise, through my data diving into all of these different PSA 10 populations, this Magikarp really stands alone. It stands out versus all of its peers in terms of the overall population. There's only like 3,500 of these, if I remember correctly, in PSA 10 holders right now. The gem rate is abysmally low. And when you think about it, the multiple of this versus a PSA 10, so raw card price versus PSA 10, is absolutely through the roof. It's the highest out of all of the cards that we look at in that video series. You'll have to watch it to get all the details, but this card is special. And the fact that it's coming down in price, I'm fine with it. Again, big cards have a tendency to drop heavily, but when they rebound, what have we seen in the past? We've seen that the very first indicators of a market rebound are some of these big cards that start to take off in terms of pricing. So fine with this card coming down. I hope if you don't have it in the collection, you find a point that's comfortable for you to jump in, because in the long run, I think with all of the intangibles, this card is going to do very well over the course of time. Next one we're talking about right here. Now, I shared the 1-year graph for this one simply because what happened to this card is really out of control. Okay, so if you look a year ago, this was a $150 card, and I get it. The Umbreon and Evolving Skies is the big chase card, right? That's the VMAX alt art, and this is the sister card. So this is from Evolving Skies. This is the Umbreon V alt art. And again, there should be a big delta between the Umbreon and between this card, which we experienced, as you can see, really for most of the last year. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this thing took off like a rocket ship up to $700. It has jumped almost 300% in the last year. $700 is a ton of money for a Pokemon card. Now, when something like this happens, you know, on this channel, we always say, hey, listen, I'll never say when to buy or when to sell, or I'll never say what's a good decision or a bad decision, but I will use words like I would approach it with a bit of trepidation. You know, if it's something that you really, really want, spend your money how it makes you happy. But when you see something shoot up like this, I mean, really, it appreciated from $200 all the way up to $700 in a blink of an eye. When it happens that quickly, usually it's not organic and it's not going to be able to hold on to it. So this card was featured because, as you can tell, over the last month, it's down 13%. Now it's still up it's still at $573. Absolutely crazy. But what you do see is you see very, very few of those light blue bar graphs going up and down, right? You see very little sales volume because I think a lot of people out there are just kind of waiting to let this card settle, see what it does. Obviously, Evolving Skies is the set from the Sword and Shield era, just a very special set as a whole. We know the pull rates are abysmal, whether it's the VMAX Alt Arts or the Vs. So these cards in terms of population are going to be relatively low. So lots of stuff to love about Evolving Skies. But again, when you see a card like this pop up to $700 overnight, you know, just give yourself some pause, take a breath, and understand that if it's something you really want, don't FOMO over it. It'll probably come back down a little bit. And again, from $700 to $573 in a short amount of time, that's a pretty significant drop. So listen, all I'm going to say right now is let's wait. Let's take a breath, let's sit back, let's relax, let's do a little waiting. I did a video, I think it came out on Friday, where I talked about some cards that are in like the $7 to $13 range that I think have a phenomenal opportunity for 3 to 5 year growth. And when you're buying cards in that price range of $7 to $13, like your downside risk is minimal. These are big name Pokemon from awesome sets that I think no matter what, at least your downside is going to be protected. And when you compare them to how similar cards have performed in the past, they're not going to pop to $100, $150 or anything like that, but there is certainly a lot of opportunity for these $7 cards to get to the $30, $40, $50 mark, because again, big believer that this current hobby is going to do really well over the course of time. That's why I'm here, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you did. I hope we have a lot of fun talking about some great buying opportunities here in the near future. And if you enjoyed it and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those two small things go a long way in helping my small channel out, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. All right, everybody, I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.